Hello guys, welcome to the course of Level 8 API Development tutorial. This is part 8. Inside this video, we will see the concept, that is, what is a middleware and what are its types. So first of all, we need to understand that what is a middleware. So if I back to slide, so let's say that we have a Laravel application. Inside this application, we are processing thousands of HTTP requests. Inside these requests, some are valid and some are invalid. Right now, there is no protection barrier. It means all valid and invalid HTTP requests coming inside this application and gets processed. But now there is the concept of middleware. Middleware always comes in between HTTP request and application. So middleware exists somewhere at this situation. It means when any HTTP request come inside this application, it must pass through this middleware. So we have three types of middleware inside Laravel. The first we have global middleware, the second we have group middleware, and the third we have called route middleware. So what is the difference between these? So if I write the types, let's say we have the first called global, next we have called the group, and finally we have called the route middleware. So global, the word indicates that the middleware which we will create automatically applies to entire application. Inside this application, suppose we have thousands of routes. So when we create any middleware which is global, then directly this global middleware automatically applies to thousands of routes what we have inside this application. Now what is group? Let's say that we have thousands of routes, but we don't want to apply the middleware concept inside each of the routes. We want to specify a group of routes. Let's say we want to apply a route, means a middleware, only on 20 specific routes. So what we will do, simply we will create a group of 20 routes. So if I write group of 20 routes for an example, and inside this route simply we will apply this group middleware concept. We will create a middleware. That middleware will be applied only for these 20 routes. But when we will create a global middleware, automatically applies to all routes what we have inside application. Now what is route middleware? When we, let's say that we have 20 routes inside application and we don't want to apply, let's say, to all the routes, to a group of routes. This time we want to apply the concept of middleware only a single specific route. So in this situation we will use route middleware instead of using global and group middleware. So when we create a middleware inside Laravel application, we will use PHP artisan command. So inside route middleware, we apply only on a specific route. To create a middleware, we will use PHP artisan command. So if I back to terminal, here we have the setup called Laravel-API. Now when we type the command called PHP artisan, we should see inside make command palette. Here we have the make command palette. Now inside this palette we will see a command called make middleware. This command will create a new middleware class. So when we create any middleware, it will go and store inside this app. Inside this app we have HTTP, and inside this HTTP we should see a middleware folder. So by default, when we install Laravel application, by default all these middlewares by default are available. So when we create our own middleware, automatically it will go and store inside this folder. So after creating any middleware, we need to configure, or we need to tell this Laravel application that we have a middleware and we need to use that. After registering that middleware, later on we will decide that that middleware is a global, route or group middleware, because while creating any middleware by the help of make middleware command, there is no flag, there is no specific syntax to specify that which type of middleware actually we are creating. The whole depends on the registration of that middleware. So which file we use to register middleware? Simply we use kernel.php. Now inside this PHP, we will register the middleware what we will create for this application. So now as we can see that kernel is a class, and inside this class we have first as an array called protected middleware variable, and this middleware represents a global middlewares. So when we create a global middleware, or simply say a middleware for this application, when we register inside this array, then that middleware automatically get applies globally to entire application, because this is an array which indicates the registration of global middleware. Now if I scroll down, here we have the group middleware. So what we will do, simply we need to create a group. After creating a group, when we register any middleware inside that, then that middleware automatically applies to a specific group of routes. This is all about our second type. Now if I scroll down, here we have the third type and as final, that is route middleware. So when we register any middleware inside this array, then that middleware only applies to a given specific route. Now the question is, how can we make a group, or let's say how can we apply only for a specific route inside this application? So let's say that we have a global middleware. As I told you that global middleware automatically get applies over each and every route of this application. So simply for group middleware, if I go inside this routes folder, web.php, now for our group middleware, simply what we'll do, we will create a group, so route group, and inside this we need to specify the middleware key. So here we have middleware. Next we need to make an array, and inside this we need to tell that this is my middleware. It means here we need to pass the middleware group name what we will create inside this kernel.php. Let's say that we are registering a group middleware. Simply we will create or register inside this array, and this is the name of the group. Simply we need to copy and pass it here, and next we need to make a callback anonymous function, and simply when we register any number of routes inside this callback block, then those routes will be protected from this middleware. This is called group middleware. Now what is route middleware? Let's say that here we have a specific route, that is sample. Now what we want to protect this route from a route middleware. Simply we will create a middleware and register by the help of this route middleware variable. When we will create and register inside this array, simply we need to copy the name and go here. Let's say that we are protecting this sample route. Simply we need to type the middleware. This is a method, and inside this method we need to pass the name. So simply by specifying the name of middleware inside this middleware method, we are telling this application that this route is protected by route middleware. So this is the overall concept, guys, that is what is middleware and what is its type, and how can we use the middlewares inside Laravel application. Now inside next video we will see a concept of route group as well as route prefix. So for this video session, guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.